Okay, so I'm gonna present this paper, how sudden censorship can increase access to information. An article published in 2018, not long ago, and published on a prominent journal, APSR. So this paper, unlike the previous papers I have presented, most of them are IR papers, but this one is a CP paper. And the major issue we want to discuss is the impact of censorship, especially whether censorship will increase people's information or will decrease people's information. And conventionally, we often think that with censorship, people obtain less information because their sources are blocked, and therefore their collective action is inhibited, right? But in this paper, the author tells us that censorship can create unintentional consequence, which is to increase people's access to information by diversifying their channel to information. And first, let me give you an overview of this article. The major argument of this article is censorship. As I said, censorship can inadvertently increase information access for some people while reducing information for others. But as I said, conventional wisdom says censorship should lower the probability that citizens access information. And this impact is for the entire population, right? And what is the mechanism of this theory? The author termed this mechanism as gateway effect. And it says when governments suddenly impose restrictions on previously uncensored information, citizens accustomed to acquiring this information will be incentivized to learn methods to circumvent the restriction. For example, in this article, the author gave a case of China in 2004 when the government prohibited the uses of Instagram. And as at that time, Instagram was already widely used in China. So those users of Instagram, because of the censorship, started to learn methods to circumvent the blockage. And how did they do that? They purchased the VPN service, right? And this effect is especially prominent when individuals have no already alternatives to replace the censored information source. For example, in China, those most well-educated, as we will see, those better educated individuals are more accustomed to using Instagram. But for these people, there is no supplement or there is no substitutive application in China. So they are more likely to use VPN. Well, for those less educated people, they've already been accustomed to using Chinese application such as Weibo. So these people will not resort to VPN and continue to use Instagram after the censorship. And more importantly, these circumvention tools provide continued access to the newly censored information, but also extend users' ability to access information that has already been blocked. Okay, so how did the research conduct the empirical test? Mostly, it is a natural experiment. It is a kind of DID. We see how was the situation before the blockage and how it changed after the blockage. And basically, the researcher, the author, took Instagram blockage in China as an event, as a treatment. And they see that after the blockage, there was increased user of Chinese user of VPN, and they also witnessed increased Chinese users of Facebook, Twitter, and Wikipedia. And these apolitical Chinese also become political. They began to obtain information that are previously censored by China. For example, they began to search Xi Jinping, they began to search June 4th event or Tiananmen event, and they began to search Mao Zedong on Wikipedia. Okay, now first, let me give you a literature review about the relationship between censorship and information in authoritarian regimes. So intuitively, we can see censorship generally decreases individual access to information. And there are three ways. The first is by reducing connectivity to informational sources, like you cannot access Wikipedia because of the Great Firewall. And citizens in authoritarian regimes also present an information consumption pattern that they also selectively, intentionally select those information that are accessible to them, and they absorb this information, right? Because people are usually impatient. So once the information is blocked, they think it doesn't work for them to pay the money or the time to learn the circumvention tools and to get this information, because these informations are inherently not valuable for them. So they do not, they just stay within the Great Wall. And the third is there is a kind of self-censorship by journalists. The journalists, as they are risk averse, they will not publicate those information that they themselves believe will be censored by the government. This is the first. And the second is more interesting. It says censorship also may backfire by increasing public engagement. And people usually call it the street stand effect. What is street stand? In fact, it's an actress name. It has a story. Street stand was an American. I think he's an American artist, and he has a big house, Bed Coast. So it was in 2008 or sometime earlier. A photographer published a picture of her house. And that picture was aimed to call people's attention to coast protection. But Streisand got very angry. She said it's a violation of her privacy and resorted to court, sued the photographer and asked the photographer to withdraw the photo from the internet. And this quickly catched public attention, and people began to search these photos. So without Streisand's lawsuits, maybe the public will not notice it. But because of her judicial action, people unintentionally began to pay attention to this case. So and specifically, there are two mechanisms for Streisand effect. The first is censorship may unintentionally publicize the unnoticed information, and censorship may trigger the anger among the population that oppose censorship, right? Okay, and now we come to the theoretical framework of this article. It is the gateway effects. What does it mean? It means because of censorship, citizens seek out the same information that they previously had access by acquiring by acquiring tools for censorship evasion, right? The point is they do not seek other information. They seek the same information, okay? And these censorship circumvention tools expose these individuals to previously blocked information, because these tools usually are not confined to a certain information, right? It provides information to all kinds of, it provides all kinds of information to these individuals. And these individuals became exposed to these previously blocked information. And information that is indispensable or addictive produce stronger gateway effects than it can be easily substituted. And fourth, the general result is augmented unbalance in information distribution. As I said, those who seek censorship invasion will obtain more information, and those who do not seek this information or who just abandon this information will become less accessible to this information, right? So what is different of this theoretical framework from the previous ones? The first is that it challenged the conventional assumption that censorship reduces information access. It says that it increases information access, but such increase is confined to a small subset of people. So the result is the overall information of the population is still decreased. It doesn't increase, right? At this point, it contradicts with the Streisand effect. Streisand effect says that the overall information to the public has increased. But in this theoretical framework, it still says the amount decreases, but the distribution, it focuses on the distribution is more unbalanced. Some people have more access to information, but others don't. Okay. And secondly, in conventional theories, like the one we said about censorship may trigger anger among population that opposes censorship, such theory often assumes that individuals should have particular emotional and ideological stance, right? Because of this stance, they got angry with the censorship and they began to seek information. But this theoretical framework doesn't hold this assumption. It says that information, the gateway effect, can explain how censorship turned previously apolitical individuals into political ones, right? Even if you don't have such emotional and ideological stance, you will still seek to seek these circumvention tools. Okay, so this research has basically 4 tests. And the first test, as it's shown here, it tests do users evade censorship to access Instagram? And how did he show that? He used data of users who are geolocated in China and who continue to access Instagram after blockage. You will see there is a kind of a significant decrease in the number of users geolocated in China after the blockage, but there are still some people using it. So that means these people use VPN because without VPN, they could not access Instagram. The second test tries to verify whether censorship spur VPN users in China. And at this point, it uses data of VPN downloads that are recorded from Chinese iPhone users. And the third is that the users access already blocked information. How did he show that? He used Facebook and Twitter downloads because Facebook and Twitter had already been blocked before Instagram. So if the blockage of Instagram also increased the increased the Chinese user of Facebook and Twitter, and that means these people resort not only to access not only Instagram but also Facebook and Twitter. And it also shows there is an active increase in Chinese Twitter users and also increase in Wikipedia views. And the fourth is whether users absorb and engage with blocked information. And it shows mentions of pro-Hong Kong protests in Twitter. Why Hong Kong protests? Because the blockage of Instagram is a consequence of Hong Kong protests. Hong Kong protests occurred in 2014, some months, and after its provocation, 3 days after the start of the protest, the mainland Chinese government blocked Instagram. It's kind of like to prevent the diffusion of information within mainland China. Let's see what are the findings. The first is that Great Firewall can effectively create two social media communities in China. And it gives some data. The first is that only about 0.026, how should I read it? 0.026% of Chinese internet users tweet every day. However, the number in Hong Kong is 1.7. Okay, so this is the first. And the second, we see who are those Chinese Instagram users. These are mostly better educated people because they are multilinguals. About 46% of these users identify English and Chinese, identify English as their primary language. However, only 39% identify Chinese as their primary language. So that is one shocking thing. They think there are more Chinese users in Twitter who identify English as their primary language. But in comparison with the Chinese social media application Weibo, the number is only 0.05 who identify English as primary language, and 99% that identify Chinese as primary language. Okay. And the third is those Instagram users are mostly technological savvy. They have very profound technological knowledge, and they are often very political. They often discuss political issues. And this is shown by an analysis of the words that they post. They mostly, many of the political words include like freedom, Chinese government, peace, or like this. And secondly, let's see what is the effect of Instagram blockage. We can see before the blockage, which happened this is September 29th, 2014, the users who daily post on Twitter that are geolocated in China is about 6,000, right? But in the afterwards, we can see the number decreases to around 3,000. And you see the blue part of the left side, it means those people who continue to post on Instagram after blockage.
Okay.
And the number is, as I said, is about 3,000. So the decreased number of Chinese users for Instagram is about 3,000. So basically 50% of Chinese Instagram users left Instagram after blockage. Okay. And what is the impact on VPN users? We see before the blockage, the number of downloads from the iPhone, the number of VPN application downloads that are originated in Chinese iPhone users is about like 3,020, right? Because we show two VPN applications here. So in sum, it's about 3,020. But on the day of blockage, the number increases to around, this is ranking to the sixth place for both VPN applications. Okay, so the y-axis is not number of downloads, it's the ranking of this application. And the ranking gradually decreased after the time. Okay. And the third is we can see there people began to access applications and informations and also websites that were previously blocked in China after they begun to use VPN. The first evidence is a surge in downloads of Facebook and Twitter, which is illustrated on I think it's on the left side. Yes. The y-axis is still I think it's still the ranking. Yes, the ranking of these applications, and we see these applications presented a significant increase in their ranking after the blockage. And on the left side is the number of Chinese Twitter users. And compared with the number of Hong Kong Twitter users, there is no significant change in the Hong Kong Twitter users right after the blockage. But China Twitter users, there is a significant in the Chinese Twitter users, right? And second, we can also check the number of new followers to New York Times and Apple Daily. Apple Daily is a local Hong Kong newspaper that mostly supports the Democratic Party in Hong Kong. So we can see there is also an increased number of followers for New York Times Chinese and in Apple Daily. And what is on the left side? Oh, the left side is a cumulative increase in the new followers. Yes. So basically, from September 29th to November the 1st, there is about 33,000 new followers in total. Yes. And then we can also see there is an increased access to sensitive information. So let's first see the left side, the figure on the left side. It shows the tweets that mention politics in Hong Kong. Okay. So it shows the percentage of tweets that discuss politics and protests in Hong Kong. The black line is for old users. It was high and gradually decreased. But for new users, on September 29, it is relatively low. But days after it, there is a significant increase because on September 29th, on the day of blockage, they began to use VPN. And after some time, they began to access information outside of Instagram, or they began to access information that they previously did not intend to access. And that's why we can see a significant increase after September 29th. There's kind of a delay of this kind of information access. And let's see on the the right side figure, it shows the number of views of Wikipedia pages that contain politically sensitive information. And we can also see after the blockage, there is an increase in these pages and gradually decreased. But still, over time, this level is still higher than the level before the blockage. And what are the information that are accessed by these users? We can see here on September 28th to September 29th, of the most increased views of Wikipedia pages, only some of these contain information, politically sensitive information, right? Like June 4th incident, Xi Jinping and Guo Baixiong. Who's that? Guo Baixiong. Anyway.
郭伯雄吧。
Yeah, I think it's kind of spelling
啊，
a
对，
typo.
一个叛乱。嗯
And most of those most viewed pages are apolitical or are not related to politics. However, as I said, as people became exposed to this politically sensitive information from 29th to 30th, most of the most viewed pages are political pages. That means these new users began to view these pages and to access these political sensitive information. So, as I said, there is no sophisticated statistical methods or case studies. It's basically a descriptive. It's basically a work based on descriptive method. We only see the trends and the before and after, right? And the blockage of Instagram constitutes a treatment effect, right? So it basically, I can say this paper is a natural experiment paper, but also uses a kind of DID, or you can just say the blockage is a treatment, right? So uh, this is what I want to present about this paper. Do you have any questions?